Hey, be careful who you help out here. Check out what Memphis Bleek just said.
People gonna use you for what they need you for, and then when they done with you, they gonna put you back because they don't need you no more. They got what they needed. So this game is dirty, man. It's a really, really dirty game, and you gotta pick your friends and know your enemies.
Man, Memphis Bleek is 100% correct, okay? Because when you're up, everybody's going to be around. But when you're down, nobody ain't going to come around. And I have a personal testimony to that. Like in 2007, when I had my first kind of like big song or whatever, I moved to Atlanta and I noticed that a lot of people were doing open mics here. So I would show up and then me and my partner show up or whatever. And he would, tell people like what I did or whatever. And then next, like the following week, it's like, hey, we need Bolo to come here so we can put it on the flyer to let them know that we have somebody here that has a song that's real big and this, that, whatever. And like almost every week for like a year and a half, I was doing all these open mics. People would put my names on certain flyers and stuff like that. Some of the open mics were cool. Some of them were a little shady. Shout out to Lady Shack, and she was doing a lot of open mics and stuff at that time, and she had a really good one with Rock Harder DJs with DJ T Rock at that time. Really good times. Met a lot of good people, but then there was something that was a little shady, and they would use up and coming producers and like even me, and they'll say, hey, this guy did this, he did that, and we need to put him on the flyer. And they would, take me to certain studios. They'll let me meet certain artists. They were, really involved in what I was doing because I had somewhat of a producer name, even though I was nowhere as big as a lot of the producers, but they needed something. And at the time, I didn't really recognize it, but they were really kind of milking me in a sense. But it kind of worked out for me because I got a lot of people to come to my studio. A lot of people paid for studio times. It was bookings. Stuff was going really, really, really good. But then what happened is the recession hit. And when the recession hit, things got a little shaky. And I don't think you guys really understand how bad that recession was. Like a lot of people lost jobs. It was really bad. And things were just not going as smooth as I really wanted them to go, even though I still ended up getting a few other little placements. I got a placement with Two Pistols and Jim Jones. He did another one with him and Joel Ortiz. He really hooked me up with that. And I had a few other little things that were going on at the time. But once that name started dying down, like people were not, calling as much. And they were like, yeah, Bolo, yeah, you did your thing, but that was 2 years ago. It is what it is, And, at that time, they were still doing open mics, but it wasn't as prominent as it was probably like in the early 2000s all the way up, the 90s really, all the way up to about 2009, 2010, because people just didn't have money to go to these things and spend $40 and $50 and hopefully get your song played at that time. So it was kind of crazy. But I noticed that a lot of people had abandoned ship. They abandoned ship on me. And I could take it. It was a cool thing with me because I'm a people person, but I'm really like a solid individual. I'm somebody who can do a lot of stuff by themselves, and I'm totally fine with that. I might miss out on a few things, but I'm fine with that. But it was a lesson learned during that time that people will use you and people will ask you for favors and things like that when they need you. And really the whole time is they're just trying to do something to accelerate their careers. They're trying to do things to accelerate what they have going on. And instead of being real people around you, they're pretty much just treating you like a business in a sense. It's all business. And business really doesn't have any friends involved, and that's what I had to learn. And even though some of these people, they needed money, some of these people needed car rides to their own events. Some of these people wanted free studio time, which you gave it to them, not you, but I gave it to them. And some of these people needed extra promotions where I was going out, passing out flyers and doing certain things. And I'll be totally honest with you, when things got a little low for me during that little break or whatever, Nobody came out and tried to help me. Nobody tried to do anything. And then it was crazy because there were some people who would book me for these shows and stuff like that, who they didn't even have that much money, who they were pretty much living penny to penny in a sense. They were out talking about me, saying, oh man, he only had one big song and he got a Grammy because his writers wrote on it, but he didn't get paid on the song and this, that, whatever, which, you know, the writers I did have, they wrote on Jamie Foxx's Blame It. I have the Grammy plaque, you know, with all my other plaques and stuff outside. But I never got paid any money for it because, you know, stuff happens. But at the end of the day, and I never got any type of credit for it or nothing like that, but it's all good. But, you know, stuff happens. But I never really let that deter me from still helping out people and still trying to be real to people. And these people pretty much shitted on me. I mean, just be honest with you, they shitted on me. And I couldn't understand why they were doing that. But I had to understand that regardless of what level you are in this music business, whether it's the chitlin circuit or you're on the major touring circuit, or if you're just a small-time producer or a large producer or a small-time artist to a large artist, there's different levels to this and everything is a business. And you have to treat people accordingly. You cannot sit here and meet somebody and then 3 days later, they're saying that, oh, this is my guy, this is my friend, this is whatever. Nah, I'm not your friend, I'm not your guy, none of that stuff. I'm Bolo, you're such and such, and we're here to do some business together, and this is what we're doing. This is the way I conduct my business now. I'm very friendly. If I see people, if I'm out walking or whatever, if I see people in the mall, I will go up. I don't care if I'm with my family or whatever, I'll always dap somebody up, have a quick conversation, say, hey, what's up? Now, if I'm like, you know, walk on the belt line or something like that, I'll just get somebody to dap and say, hey, man, thanks for watching, and this, that, whatever. I'm very friendly. But when it comes down to business, when it comes down to doing things now, I'm not friendly when it comes to that because I know that people only want you because of what you do. Right now, people do a lot of stuff with me because of what I do on YouTube more so than what I did in the music business. And I understand that. And I'm cool with that because this is the path that I've chosen. This is a path that I love to do. I still produce, but I don't produce as much as I used to. I'm doing more stuff like this on this channel and even on my main channel. So at the end of the day, you know, things are much different, but everything still applies the same when it comes to how I deal with people now, because when you don't have it, and this goes with pretty much anything in life, if people want something out of you when you're at that peak or whatever, they're going to keep coming back for something over and over and over again. But when they feel like you don't have it anymore, they leave you, and then what they usually do is find somebody else who they think that they can bank off of. And that's just with anything in society right now. So a lot of times now, I'm very wary about people who come to me about any type of business deals. I'm very wary about people coming into my circle. Like my circle right now consists of maybe like 10 people, and that is it. But you know, you guys are my circle too. You're my YouTube internet family. So, you know, when I'm on here, I have a circle that's on here, but when I have my physical circle, it's maybe like 10 people. Because I don't want to bring nobody else in that really can't help me out or do anything, you know, for me. And I don't want to waste nobody's time at the same time. Now, on this YouTube circle, it's people that I do know that I talk to, and I have certain people that are part of that particular circle. And, you know, I got YouTube family, I got YouTube friends, but some of these people I would never meet in real life, but I would still try to help them out as much as possible in the YouTube realm. Outside of that, I can only help out really the 10 people that are in my music circle, and that's excluding my family because, you know, I got kids and stuff like that, but that's my inner circle. But when it comes to, you know, people coming around, I'm really not as cool with that. Let's put it like that. When it comes to things outside of YouTube, when it comes to like the music industry and the music business, and just in general, because right now people will use you up. Now, the other day I was just watching a video about Arsenio Hall, and he was talking about the famous Richard Pryor. And, you know, Richard Pryor, he ended up getting MS, and he ended up dying from that eventually. But, you know, during the latter part of his years, he was, you know, his health condition was declining. And I remember Arsenio Hall was saying, man, you know, about the business, you know, when you're making money, everybody is around, but when that money dries up, people just completely forget about you, which is very true. And I remember Arsenio Hall saying that, you know, he used to love to watch TV. So instead of him just watching TV at the house, he would go over to Richard Pryor house and would watch TV with him. And they would sit there and they would laugh and joke. And Richard would tell him like little stories and stuff like that. And then a lot of people wouldn't check on Richard Pryor like that. And then Arsenio basically said, hey, you know, Richard, you know, who are some of the people that you want to meet? Because I can find these people. Because, you know, this is during the time when Arsenio Hall was Arsenio Hall. You know, he said he had nothing but time in his hands, but he said he would help out Richard Pryor. So Richard Pryor would say like, hey, you know, I like this guy on TV. And he was referring to Steve Harvey. He was like, that guy kind of reminds me of me. It would be cool to kind of meet him. And Richard Pryor said, you know what? As a real friend, what I'm going to do is I'm going to find Steve Harvey for you, and I'm going to pick him up. So he went, got his limo, picked up Steve Harvey, took them over to Richard Pryor house. They said they sat there for like hours and just laughed and joked and talked. Then he said, man, I miss being around Quincy, brother Quincy. And Richard Pryor was like, you know what? I think I can get in touch with Quincy Jones. Went, picked up Quincy Jones, and they sat over there for hours and laughed and talked and were talking about stuff that even Arsenio Hall couldn't really fathom, because he was like, this is before my time. But it lets you know that when you get into certain situations or when people don't value you as much, people kind of tend to forget about you. And I can really respect Arsenio Hall in this sense because he didn't forget about him. And that's very rare with friends and very rare with people right now, that people will still try to be around you even when you're up and even when you're down. So you have to choose the people that are around you. You have to choose them wisely. And I'm not just talking about music. I'm talking about relationships. I'm talking about business deals. I'm talking about whatever, you know, gym workout partners, whatever. You got to choose people that are wisely, and you got to know how to shut down certain people, even though they might sometimes have good intentions, but they might not be the type of people that really need to be around you. So you have to understand that this game is just a business all the way across the board. And when you're up, they're going to be all around you. When you're down, they're not going to be around.